Have you ever snapped at someone you love and immediately thought, this is not me, why did I behave like that? Or found yourself overwhelmed over something small, crying for no reason, going blank in a conversation, or saying something you regret even before you realized you were angry? Most of us have been told this is about patience or emotional intelligence or just needing to try harder to be calmer. But here is what nobody told you. Before any of that, before behavior, before emotions, and before the words that come out of your mouth, there is your nervous system. And if your nervous system is dysregulated, none of the trying harder will work because the body is already in survival mode. And in survival mode, we don't think, we just react. This is not a character flaw. This is biology and it can change. And the reason most of us don't know this is simple. Nobody taught us. We were taught maths, language, or how to behave, but we were never taught how our own nervous system works. We were never taught that our body has two distinct modes, one designed for survival and one designed for living. And which mode we are in determines everything, how we think, how we feel, how we behave, how we love, just everything. Today, I want to give you something that most people never receive, an understanding of what's happening inside you when you lose yourself. And more importantly, what yoga has known for about thousands of years about how to come back. Your autonomic nervous system runs everything that keeps you alive without you having to think about it. Heart rate, digestion, immune system, sleep, all of it. And it's constantly and quietly asking one question: am I safe right now? And when the answer is no, the body moves into the survival mode, what we call the sympathetic nervous system. And in survival mode, it has three distinct responses. The three ways your body is trying to protect you. And I want to describe each one not as a textbook definition, but as something you will recognize from your own life. The first is fight. This is your nervous system rising up to meet a threat. In the body, it feels like heat, a tightening in the chest, jaw clenching, a surge of energy that has nowhere to go. In real life, it looks like snapping at someone you love, getting irritable for no clear reason, needing to control things, and saying words even before you decided to speak. The second is flight. This is the nervous system trying to escape the threat. In the body, it feels like restlessness, racing thoughts, inability to sit still. And in real life, it looks like moving from one thing to the another without ever arriving anywhere. Scrolling endlessly and keeping yourself so busy that you never have to feel what's underneath. And anxiety that hums in the background of everything. And the third is freeze. This one is often less talked about and the one that makes people feel most ashamed. Because from the outside, it can look like not caring or being lazy or being difficult. But freeze is none of those things. In the body, it can feel like shutting down or going blank, not being able to find words in the middle of a conversation, feeling numb or disconnected from yourself and everyone around you, staring at your phone for an hour without knowing why. This is your nervous system that has gone so deep into the protection mode that it simply stopped working. It is doing exactly what it was designed to do, but without understanding, it can feel like something is deeply wrong with you. These three states, fight, flight, and freeze, all live under what we call sympathetic nervous system, the activated state, and the one that is designed for survival. And it's brilliant because it has kept our ancestors alive for thousands of years. The problem is that in modern life, the triggers are everywhere and relentless. Emails, notifications, deadlines, difficult relationships, financial pressure, and the noise of just being alive right now. None of it is a threat, but the nervous system treats it the same way. So it never fully gets the signal that the threat is past, it's over, and it can rest now. And this brings me to the second mode, the one that is actually meant to be our natural home, the parasympathetic nervous system, the recovery state, rest, digest, and connect state. And I want to describe what it feels like in the body because many people have lived with so much chronic activation that they genuinely don't know what safety feels like. The safety in the body feels like a softening, the shoulders dropping without you telling them to, the jaw unclenching, the breath moving all the way into the belly, slow, full, and complete. Like being able to think clearly, like having a complete access to yourself, like being present in a conversation rather than managing it, like the warmth in the chest rather than a tightening. Like the ground is beneath your feet and you don't have to brace against anything. It doesn't mean everything is perfect. It doesn't mean there are no problems. It simply means in this moment, the body believes that it is okay, that it doesn't need to fight or run or shut down, that it can simply be here. For some people, this feeling is familiar. For others, it is something that they have rarely felt. And if that's you, I want you to know that this is not permanent. This is not who you are. This is simply the nervous system that has never learned how to find its way home. That is exactly what we're going to learn this month. Now, here is where yoga enters. And I want you to understand that what yoga has mapped is not different from what we just described. It is the same understanding just arrived at through thousands of years of direct inner observation expressed in its own precise language. In yoga, we speak of prana, the life force that animates everything, and the breath is its most direct expression. When we are stressed, anxious, or overwhelmed, the breath reflects it immediately. It becomes shallow, tight, and erratic. And in turn, it keeps feeding that same unsettled state back into the body. The nervous system reads the breath as evidence. When it is shallow and tight, the body concludes that there must still be a threat. Yoga sees this as prana becoming disturbed, moving without direction and without grounding. And the practice of pranayama exists precisely to restore that balance, to give prana a direction and to bring the body back to its natural state of ease. That is why pranayama sits at the heart of the yoga practice, not as a warm up, not as an add on, but as a central tool for working with your nervous system directly. In yoga, we also speak of nadis, the subtle channels through which the prana flows. Two primary nadis are Ida and Pingala. Ida flows through the left nostril and is associated with calm, cooling, and lunar energy, what we call the parasympathetic nervous system. Pingala flows through the right nostril and is associated with heat, activation, and solar energy, the sympathetic state. When these two channels are in balance, we experience what yoga calls sattva, calm, clarity, ease, and presence. The regulated nervous system expressed in yogic language. This is not a metaphor, this is a system. and it maps directly onto what we now understand about brain hemispheres, nostril dominance, and nervous system regulation. The yogis understood the body from inside out, and the tools they developed work. Not because we believe in them, but because the nervous system responds to them. Now, most people who come to breath work come because something isn't working. And in my experience, dysregulated breathing shows up in one of the three ways. The first is chest breathing, shallow, fast, and high in the body. This is sympathetic breathing. It keeps your nervous system activated. Most people breathe this way all day without realizing it. The diaphragm has essentially been forgotten, and the body reads this shallow breath as a confirmation that something is wrong. The second is breath holding, subtle and often unconscious. A slight suspension at the top of the inhale or a tightening before the exhale. This is a bracing pattern, the body preparing for the impact that never comes. Very common in people with chronic stress or anxiety, and it keeps the whole system on alert. And the third is imbalanced ratio, where the inhale is longer than the exhale. This keeps the sympathetic system dominant because the inhale is activating and the exhale is calming. When we cut short the exhale, we cut short the calm too, and the body never fully rests. All three patterns are incredibly common, and most people have never been told they're doing them. And all three can be gently and gradually changed through practice. And that is what this month is for. Every practice we do together this month moves through three stages. And I want to name them clearly because they're not just stages of practice, they're a way of living. The first is awareness. Simply learning to notice what is actually happening in the body, the breath, and the mind right now. Not fixing anything yet, just seeing it clearly. In yoga, this is called pratyahara, withdrawing of the senses inward. And it begins with gentle, honest noticing. And this is where everything starts because you cannot regulate what you cannot see. The second is regulation, using the ancient tools of yoga to gently shift the state of the nervous system, the emotions, and the energy. And this is where the pranayama practices we do this month live. Each one a specific tool for a specific kind of a shift. The breath is not the only tool that yoga offers, but it is the immediate one. Unlike heart rate or digestion, breath is one part of the autonomic nervous system that we can consciously change. And through breath, we gain access to everything else. And the third is reconnection, coming back to yourself, to the stillness that was always there underneath everything else, to the part of you that exists beneath the stress, beneath the reactions, and beneath the survival mode. And this is where the deepest healing happens, not through effort but through returning. And here is how this becomes more than a practice. When you develop awareness, you begin to notice your triggers before they take over. You catch the moment your breath tightens, the moment your mind starts to spiral, and the moment your body braces. And that moment of noticing is everything because in that space you have a choice. A small one at first, but a real one. That is where regulation comes in. You have the tools, the breath, the practice, the techniques. You use them not just on the mat, but in the middle of your life. In the difficult conversations, in the anxious mornings, and in the moments before you react. And when you regulate consistently, something deeper begins to happen. You start to reconnect with yourself, with what matters, and with the way you actually want to live. And from that place, you don't just react to life, you respond to it consciously and intentionally. That is what yoga as a way of life actually means. And that is what this community is here to support. This week, we will learn Dirgha Pranayama, three-part breath combined with extended exhale. It is one of the complete nervous system tools in yogic tradition. Safe, gentle, and genuinely powerful. And after everything we have covered today, you will understand exactly why it works. Do like and subscribe. We have a full month of this, and each week builds on the last. I'll see you in the next practice. Namaste.